Welcome to AASBC's video on financial pitfalls. Financial management is an absolute must for a small business or SME, and it's usually a very major challenge for small business owners. But financial management can be a major success factor in a small business, and that is managing current cash flow, securing lenders or investors, and predicting cash flow needs. But there are several common pitfalls that must be avoided. Let's talk about no cash reserves. Well, lack of cash is a huge hindrance for a small business, whether that's starting a small business or operating a small business. Small businesses and SMEs need to have a sufficient amount of cash. Now, certainly there can be periods of negative cash flow during a business startup or if a business is a seasonal business, but overall there has to be a sufficient amount of cash flow in order to pay for operations, make payroll, pay rent. So sufficient cash reserves must be estimated. They must be estimated by the owner or management, and cash reserves must be built, and that's either going to come from borrowing, that's going to come from capital that is invested in the business, or it's going to come from operations. But there cannot be a continuous amount of negative cash flow in a business and for that business to be expected to be successful over a long period of time. Another pitfall, not forecasting future cash needs. Now, this correlates, of course, to building a sufficient cash reserve, but you can't build what you don't know. So actually preparing a cash flow budget is useful, and it's a necessary management tool, and that is estimating cash inflows from sales and receivables if the business has receivables. And that means also estimating cash outflows for expenses, debt servicing, equipment, but a business must know what the future inflows and outflows are going to be. Another pitfall, disciplined borrowing. A small business owner or manager has to be diligent with credit card purchases, leasing, any other forms of borrowing, and there must be a margin of safety between borrowing and debt servicing. That means, in other words, making sure that the debt can be paid when it comes due. So if a business is overextended, just remember, catching up can be difficult, and at times, depending on the business, it might be absolutely impossible to catch up. Control spending, another financial pitfall. And a business owner needs to distinguish between needs and wants of a business. What is really needed in a business and what is just wanted in a business. But expenses and purchases should be absolutely necessary for a small business, because luxury purchases, in other words, those wants rather than needs, can create a negative cash flow, and it can create, obviously, then unwanted and unnecessary debt, a pitfall to be careful of. Another financial pitfall, keep business and personal items separately. Commingling business and personal finances is just an absolute recipe for disaster. So you should treat the business as a separate entity, even if it is a sole proprietorship. That means separate checking accounts, separate billing for expense items, really separate everything, and even get reimbursed by the business if business expenses are paid from personal accounts or vice versa, and this happens obviously at times, but separation is absolutely essential. And then lastly, we might say small business owner needs to seek professional assistance. That is financial expertise, tax advice, small business consulting, and the business owner should concentrate on what you know best and leave the rest to knowledgeable pros. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed this video on common financial pitfalls. If you'd like to learn more about the Association of Accredited Small Business Consultants, you can check out our website at aasbc.com or send us an email at info@aasbc.com. Thanks for watching.